Well, I don't know about you, but I'm very, very excited. Yesterday, we had the president call up our select reserve and ready reserve to head on over to Europe for Operation Atlantic Resolve, which is very exciting. Sounds to me like we're going to war. And maybe that's just me, but I have a feeling we'll be hearing about that from the stage today and all of the Republican candidates. Stu is here with me. Back at the studio is Pat and Jeffy. We're down to that. We're down to that.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Wow, that hurt.
Hey,
That hurt
Pat.
a lot.
Hey, Jeffy.
That really hurt.
Well, it wasn't you, Pat. I'm not
Okay.
talking about you. Really.
Again, that hurt. I'm not sure.
So there's a couple of things that are in the news today that I think are a little disturbing. Is anybody bothered by Operation Atlantic Resolve? Now, this is something. When did we go into this operation?
Let's see, April 30th, 2014. You had some of the beginnings. This goes back. This is the Ukraine situation going back a ways. It's funded under the European Deterrence Initiative, which I know you're a huge fan of. You have that bumper sticker on your car.
Oh, my
I'm a
gosh.
huge fan of the European Deterrence
Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
We like to call it the EDI.
Yeah.
But big fan of that. Big fan of that. So this is revolving around Ukraine. It's another step closer to war. We not only have that, but did you see the news that, and Pat, you're going to be excited because I know you are very excited whenever America is number one.
Yes.
But we are now number one on our debt interest payments.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good job, team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're at $900 billion a year. That's up quite a bit. In fact, that is up 10% in the last 12 months. No, I'm sorry. Our revenue is down 10%. Our interest rate is up as of the end of June. We're now paying 2.7%. However, they believe that by the end of the year, our interest rate could be at 4%. But in the next 3 months, they say we will be at $1.3 trillion a year, which will surpass, at $1 trillion, you surpass all other budgets in the United States government. You are bigger than Social Security, just the interest on our debt. So we got that going.
Yes.
We got that going.
Yeah.
That is-
1.3 trillion, though, that's not as much as he's lowered the deficit.
Right. That's
so-
a good point.
you're right.
1.7, right?
Good
So-
point.
Yeah.
good.
So think of the money we're saving, Jeffy. Thank you for bringing that up. I apologize for saying that you're a waste of skin on this program because you're clearly
Why are we?
and a lot of skin. I mean, we could have made 14 people out of you. But the Lord decided to make just one, Jeffy.
I already said it hurt.
By the way, on the spending on interest.
Yeah.
So we're scheduled in 2027 to surpass, defense spending with just our interest.
Is that a problem?
In 2029, non-defense discretionary spending will be exceeded by interest. It goes to 2045 when interest passes the entire cost of Medicare. And then in 2050, it exceeds Social Security.
No.
Now, this is, of course, without all of the new crappy programs
Yeah.
they're going to add in the interim.
No, Stu.
This is just projections for right now.
This is projected by what? The CBO?
Yeah.
At 1.3 trillion. How big is Social Security? Because the article I read today said that by the end of the year or in 18 months, we will be bigger than Social Security. The debt will be bigger than the interest will be bigger.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Our spending is up 15% since June of last year.
And that's the realistic thing, right? Like, they keep adding these programs and adding all the spending.
No, the Fed is also raising rates. Every time the Fed raises rates. Remember, we're looking at a blended interest rate, they say, in the next 3 months. That means that we have some debt that hasn't been refinanced yet. So we were paying a blended interest rate of about 1.8%. We're now at 2.7%. and they say we'll be at 4%, but that's still blended. When we get into the 6 and 7%, which will happen in the next 18 months, your debt skyrockets.
Yeah, and here's the stat on this, which is if right now they are projecting it's going to be 3.3%, all of this borrowing, and then 4% over the next 30 years. If they are wrong, each additional 1% costs Washington $3 trillion per decade and $30 trillion over 30 years. So I don't. Is that good? Can we ask any of the candidates? Is that a good
we'll
number?
Ask some of the candidates.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll ask some of the candidates. I was looking at some of the research today. We did some surveys on glennbeck.com, and we wanted to know what the most important question is for each presidential candidate to answer. And the number one question by far, what will you do to fight against massive government spending? That's 63% of our audience says spending, number one. 26, are you for or against the aid to Ukraine? If so, in what form? And then 11, will you hold China accountable for the COVID pandemic? Each one of these specifically show we're not really for Biden. We're kind of going the opposite direction.
Anyone but Biden?
Yeah.
All the candidates here qualify for that, by the way. Each one of them is not Joe Biden, and I think that's a really important qualification for almost anyone running for president at this time.
Other questions. Do you think the U.S. is at risk at entering into a wider war with Russia? Pat,
Yes.
you and I have been doing this for decades now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, what are they calling this thing? A call-up of the
National Guard?
Selective Reserve and Ready Reserve. Do you remember that?
I remember that in the lead up to. Didn't they do that in the Gulf War? Both of those. I think they started doing call-ups around that time. But in a time where we weren't at war with anybody, I don't remember it.
Here's what's truly frightening. I don't know if you guys have seen what do you call it? The presidential dictate here from the White House. But this is how it's worded. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, including sections 121, 12304 of Title 10 United States Code. The president doesn't care.
No.
What he's saying is, this is like, before it's like, I can just spend money. I can just resolve to let everybody go, on their debt. This one, he's specifically saying, don't screw with me. I hereby determine that it is necessary to augment the active armed forces of the United States for the effective conduct of Operation Atlantic Resolve in and around the United States European Command's area of responsibility. In furtherance of this operation, under stated authority, I hereby authorize the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security, with respect to the Coast Guard, when it's not operating as a service in the Navy under their respective jurisdictions, to order the active duty, any units, any individual members not assigned to a unit, organized to serve as a unit of the selected reserve, or any member of the individual ready reserve mobilization category and designated as essential under regulations, blah, 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 not to exceed 3,000 members at any one time, of whom not more than 450 may be members of the individual ready reserve as they deem necessary. So he has the right to do this for, I think he can call them up for 350 or 365 days, and then that expires. Why is he doing that?